My friend's getting married. But when I learned he invited my cheating ex, well, I was so mad, but then I calmed down because I realized this was the best opportunity for me to seek the revenge I've always wanted, and that's exactly what I did. Waking up to the sound of the neighbor's son crying was usual for me. But that day a different voice broke my sleep. A deep male voice, it was the letterman. At first, it was hard to recognize who was calling, then with great difficulty, I got down and opened the door, half awake seeing a letter for me. In the times of emails, crazy how a letter made its way to my house. But my house was empty, so had no one to share my excitement with. As soon as the letter was torn and opened, the happiness settled in. It was Mark's wedding invitation. Mark was my colleague, but before that, he was one of my friends from college. None could believe that Mark was getting married, as his weight always put away girls in college. But his change was so amazing, and it was witnessed by me as we worked in the same office. His invitation did make me happy, but something in me absorbed and sucked all the happiness out. Before figuring out what it was, the name popped into my head. Alex. He too was Mark's common friend, and that name was also going to be there. And my brain asked me several times the next hour if I'd like to see his face ever again or not. The guy did not deserve another meet or even look from me. But I could not go and ask Mark straight up to not call that guy. Alex and I were in a relationship for almost 4 years. It's still fresh in my mind how we both met at a coffee shop outside our college. I was in my last year of college and the day was a bit cloudy. While returning back home from the nearby coffee shop, called me for a favorite snack. Something too much on the way back home, by the way. Going inside the shop, there stood Alex. Tall, wavy hair. That boy was always around me since the first year, but never got the opportunity to talk. So, that's right when he turned around and he did recognize me. Taking the chance, well, the offer of coffee was made from my side, and there started our little journey. In a few days, we were texting each other late into the night, and soon, we got into a relationship. Everyone in college envied us, especially me, since Alex was kind of a crazed boy in college amongst the girls for his looks and activities he was good at. But nothing made me feel inferior since I knew he was mine and got into my life for a reason. College ended, but our relationship was strong and sturdy. A few ups and downs did occur in college and even increased as college ended, and we both could not see each other every day. Soon, Alex got into a job at a local food startup company, and his time for me shrank a bit. Alex never had any such proper bold red flags about him, nothing really terrible that would set anybody off or make them mad. But yes, he was not perfect. There were times he'd comment about my looks, and those did not make me feel any better. When questioning back, he'd laugh it off as if nothing happened. He even looked at other girls and said how jokingly he looked at them to judge their looks, but that didn't seem to be the whole truth. One of the incidents that did hurt me the most was when we completed 3.5 years of being together. See, like every year, I was the one who remembered the day and planned for a special surprise, making everything perfect, starting from the food he liked to book the place and he loved. In the morning, when we were supposed to wish each other, he forgot, as usual. Although he did wish after me, and later on, requesting him to take a leave from his work a bit early. Alex was just not ready for it. He threw all the reasons he could not make it at night, but somehow I managed to get him to agree. By evening, we met outside his office, and he was not in a good mood. Lost in some work on his phone, but he did give me a compliment in the cab on our way to the restaurant. The moment we reached the restaurant, nothing. Nothing could have prepared me for the reaction Alex gave. He literally covered his face and was not happy at all. The very next moment, he asked with whose permission the restaurant was booked. Alex assumed that he was to pay for it since he was the earning member. What he forgot was, my work as a freelancer too paid me pretty good. I tried to calm him down and even had to show him the bills that the payments were already done for, the pre-booking. Later into the evening was spent pretty much one-sided, as he had his face on his phone like 24/7. That did not feel so happy. It's a way to celebrate the day, and it was clear that Alex was still totally unhappy and was not fully out of his bad mood. Time went on, and Alex's change was much more noticeable, as his behavior degraded towards me with more frustration and anger. There was a time we both would talk on calls for hours, but by the time we neared 4 years together, things seemed to be not so happy anymore. But all of the signs were ignored by me, and my world of happy place was still strong. We both even had talks of marrying each other. Although the topic was brought up by me and me alone, and not a single time by him yet, we did talk about it. One night, I'll never forget it, it was a rainy night. I was passing by his house and noticed his room well lit. That too, and when he texted that he wasn't home, it wasn't that Alex lied to me a lot, but he did have the habit of twisting the truth when he wanted. Well, so I decided to go and check it out for myself. The door was knocked on, and nobody opened it after the first knock. Then the second knock had me waiting for a few seconds until Alex flung the door open. It was clear by his expression that he was not expecting little old me. Wearing his shorts, he didn't want to see me there like that, so he called me in and went inside to change. Sitting in the living, it was clearly messy, and the ones who knew Alex could tell it was his deed. As he changed, he asked what made me come for a visit, and my reply was clear that there was no intention to check up on him if he was saying the truth or not. As I sat there waiting, a ting sound went off. Alex's phone lied right in front of me on the table, and right before calling Alex to check his phone, another notification caught my attention. It was a text message from Jamie, who apparently had sent him a few heart emojis. It wasn't the emoji sent by the name. Jamie worked with Alex, and he started mentioning the girl quite a lot in the past few months. Alex even said how great she was at her job, and how she helped him once or twice. What was not noticeable was the enthusiasm which he spoke about her with. All those made me grab his phone and opening the notification, but right before checking it up and once Alex went to the washroom, I opened up the text. To this day, I curse myself for not having caught them earlier. The text message that night clearly revealed both were dating. Alex was cheating on me with her. The texts were exactly the same as what we'd share with each other during the initial days of our relationship, but even sweeter. The night went horrible as my enraged mind pushed me to confront Alex, who very casually accepted he was cheating on me, and thus it happened. We broke it off. There was not a hint of guilt or shame in his eyes while he took Jamie's name, or accepted that both were dating for the past 3 months now. How easily a man could do such a shameful deed and not feel anything for me was beyond my understanding. It was a war for me to come out of the trauma. It took several months, and at a point my parents were also involved since nothing was working for me. Mom and Dad called me over to their place, and finally, 3 months with them helped me get up and strong from it. All the promises of staying together, marrying, and having a future house crumbled just like that. All of these sparks of fire in me, Mark's wedding seemed like a great place to vent it at. Mark was my friend since college, but as soon as Alex got with me, Mark too formed a good bond with Alex. Mark had a great ability to be friends with possibly anyone, and thus he made Alex one of his friends. Both would at times meet and have fun without me. Mark was getting married just a week later, and that gave me enough time to come up with a plan. A plan to show Alex what he deserved for my pain. Mark's marriage was happening at a banquet inside the city, and the place was known to us as quite a popular place for weddings. The next day, Mark came to the office, and upon inquiring, he gave me details of the banquet and a card of the place. A simple Google search on my desktop revealed what truly was a game changer. The place, it was owned by one of my cousins, Catherine. Having been knowing each other for so long, still not a hint of an idea that she owned the place. At night, I went to see Catherine as she was elated to see me as we met after years. The last time we met was at my mom's birthday party. Not sure why, but upon meeting her, I opened up my entire story to her about Alex and she comforted me. Finally, I explained to Catherine the revenge plot at Mark's wedding. At first, Catherine did not like the idea, but soon she understood my point and even started hating Alex without having met him yet. Finally, Catherine promised to help me, but she revealed that she did not own the place. She just looked after the managing parts of the events, which was quite also a lot of work. And luckily, she got the responsibility of Mark's wedding too. Catherine brought up her planner and showed me how the wedding was going to be. But before that, she showed me the names given by Mark for custom-made invite cards, and there it was. To Alex and to Jamie. The wedding plan showed that after all the guests arrived one by one and the wedding was over, there was a dance scheduled in the massive main hall. That's when it struck me the plan to expose Alex and do it in a mega style. Exposing them right there at the hall where everybody would know what was going on. Exposing someone with full proof was not an easy task, but I was prepared. The night of his misdeeds were caught on his phone. I immediately took pictures of all the photos they had and the chats they did with each other, and also recorded some of their videos together. Taking screenshots may have been dangerous because he could have seen them later in his gallery, or even sending them to me would have got me in trouble. So clicking pictures was my best option. I opened my phone and scrolled back. There lays all the proof, waiting to be unleashed at the best time. Finally came the day of the wedding. I reached as early as I could, as only a few people had arrived, most being the family members, and Catherine was there waiting for me. Even though she was busy, she took me to the room where the reveal was about to happen. And finally, Catherine was handed over a pen drive, which had all the drama right inside of it. People started pouring in from the main entrance as I waited near the small church inside the banquet. Right when my vision fell to Alex and Jamie, 6 months passed since we saw each other. He looked the same as he was the last time we met, but even happier. The same happiness earlier witnessed and felt by me. Jamie was the most self-centered woman I had ever heard. Her social media had only her pictures and a time post with Alex too. But that girl was all about the show-off. See, Alex did not yet see me until everybody gathered near the church and Jamie pointed him out. All of these were conveyed to me by Catherine over calls, who was keeping an eye on Alex all the time. There was a curiosity to know how Alex would react seeing me, so I turned a bit trying to talk to a common friend, while keeping an eye on Alex from my side perception. He clearly looked at me for more than a couple of seconds, then looked away, which by the way sparked my first of hate, even more for that guy. Soon, everyone sat down inside the church and the wedding ceremony began. The couple accepted each other as husband and wife. And the picture of the wedding threw me back to the day and the same conversation Alex had with me. We both sat at the park bench under the cherry tree. The topic was brought up by me, but Alex replied happily that he would marry me. All those memories teared up in my eyes, and without even noticing a tear dropped on my hand, but thankfully none noticed before it was wiped. The wedding ended as the announcement for the dance party started. People proceeded towards the main hall and everything was set. Only rule was, people had to dance in pairs. Right after the announcement, Alex grabbed Jamie and smiled at her. Every inch of his face burned from the inside that day. The first dance was of course by the newlyweds. Mark amazed everybody in the hall with his changed figure, as many from college had never imagined that Mark could go through such a change. Their dance continued and then my phone rang. It was Catherine. I went to his side and confirmed whether everything was ready or not. Just nearby stood Michelle, who followed me and stood by me waiting for the revelation. The dance ended and the announcer went on to congratulate the newlywed right then and there when the lights got dimmed. The projector on the wall turned on and the video started playing on the screen facing the entire audience. The video had my face walking in a park. The camera, it turned to Alex who was recording it, and the plan had started. My voice clearly showed we both were dating, and to add to it, a spotlight fell on Alex and Jamie. My chats with Alex got displayed on the screen with the date and the same time. Chats with Jamie got displayed right there side by side. This sparked murmuring across the whole room. Alex and Jamie looked away and stood frozen, and faces were turning beet red by the video and chats. Then a voiceover and my own words added, "Thanks for cheating on me, Alex." That's when I saw Mark furiously staring at me, and he starts to shout and demand to turn off the video right now. But right then the video ended and the lights cut on. People started gathering around Alex and Jamie and started questioning them. Many turned to me with sympathy in their eyes, but not Mark. Mark marched towards me and asked me to leave now. Mark's eyes had turned red as he looked away and kept on asking me to leave, unable to believe I've broken his trust. That he never expected such a disgusting behavior from me ever on his most special day. I spent the rest of the day at my favorite cafe, treating myself to the grand expose. Apparently, Jamie had removed all the posts of her with Alex, and that was a relief that the plan worked. At night, Michelle called to check if everything was fine with me. She informed me that the wedding was about to get called off until Alex and Jamie requested people to stay and both left. So, it continued. Catherine was fired from her job, and that news absolutely shocked me to the core. See, she helped me, and that made her lose her job. I immediately called her, but she did not pick up the first 2 calls. But she picked up on the third one, and her heavy voice indicated she had been crying. I apologized for what happened to her, but she said that she called the owner, and after begging, she got her job back. Saying so, she cut the call. Michelle also told that Alex and Jamie left crying, and that was the best news of the day. Both got their lesson, and Alex would finally feel what it was like for me after we broke up. So my question to you guys is this. Am I the a-hole for exposing my cheating ex at our mutual friend's wedding? What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. Today's revenge story is a wild one. I'm just going to let you know, all the comments in the original post were saying, hey, we get it, OP, but you went way too far. It was not even the people's wedding you were trying to expose. You basically ruined one of your friend's weddings just so you could get a bit of petty revenge. Well, I'll leave that up to you guys. Let me know how you feel about the story so far in the comment section down below. But there is a few updates to hop into, so let's check out update number 1. And if you guys are new to the channel, I post every single day. And if you want to support me, all you have to do is subscribe. Alright, update number 1. As soon as the wedding ended, people started showing their true colors. The news of the drama that occurred at the wedding spread super fast like wildfire. And obviously, Mark was really mad at me. We met at the office 5 days after the incident, and he did not look at me as we crossed each other's path twice. That was bound to happen, I guess, but soon this news was transferred over to other colleagues, as well as this resulting in me being outcasted in my own office setting. So, although 2 of my female colleagues understand the situation after they heard the entire story, and they did show me sympathy and not much to Mark. However, going to the office became harder as the people who were former a good friend to me and sharing little stories or talks were no more, and the feeling of loneliness struck pretty hard. People at times can be too harsh and mean without even trying to understand somebody's situation. If that was not enough, Catherine, who was out from my life since the incident happened, did the worst thing ever by telling people what happened to everyone in my family. If only she went through the terrible loss of her loved one, then she would have done the exact same thing, maybe even worse than that. On Friday morning, my phone rang and it was my father. Dad was really unhappy with my work, and the phone was taken by Mother, who asked what made me ruin somebody innocent's wedding. Well, that wasn't the plan. The plan was to expose the couple who were cheaters and not to destroy a newly wedded couple. But none to listen to my side of the story. Father asked me to stop my work and return to them for some therapy. Therapy? Were they insane? I didn't need therapy, it was the other people who needed it. What he said next really disturbed me. And all of our relatives took sides with Catherine and started showing hate to Mom, Dad, and me, of course. That did not land well for me. I was forced to cut the call as my head was bursting, so taking a day off from work was really what was needed. Around evening, sitting in my room, just binging through the TV channels, I was questioning if everything done was right or wrong just when my phone rang. It was Alex! Picking it up was out of option. Right when a text message popped up which was from an unknown number. Right below the unknown number, the message said, "I was soon going to be in trouble for what happened at the wedding if I did not meet up at this given location on the date given and time." The phone was put away as such. Messages did not scare me even a dime. But the next day, as I went out shopping at a nearby mall, and just at the entrance, a guy stood outside the mall in a dark-colored dress, who seemed to be staring at me but then went away. Once the shopping was done, the bill was completed, and I started walking outside. And I made my way to the outside gate just when something caught my attention. It was the same guy, making a video of me from a black Jeep. And then I cried for help and gathered people when the car drove off. Right after that day, no calls or text messages came to date, but that incident did have something to do with Alex. With no relatives on my side, no friends, and even Mom and Dad cursing me, my mind felt realized, thinking Alex could never ever be happy with Jamie, and that relief was the best feeling for me. Update number 2. Some people never like to live a simple, drama-free life. My ex being a perfect example of that. Just when things seemed to be going back to a bit of normalcy, another person entered my life. One morning while I was sitting at my desk working, a letter came for me. It was from somebody outside of our organization, and opening it made things clear that it was from Alex. The letter caught me off guard as he wrote that he was going to be filing a lawsuit against me for defaming him and harming his mental health. Funny how he saw only his side, huh? Reading it for the first time, I could feel my heart beating faster and faster, and my brain thinking what could happen if a lawsuit was really on the way. Taking the rest of the day off, just stating my ill health. I returned home and laid on the sofa, blasting the air condition. The afternoon felt dead and slow as all the memories with Alex played right in front of me. Just after a month of having started to date him in college, we went to an amusement park, and sitting on one of those benches, Alex, the boy who was also idolized, showed his weakness to me. Alex opened up and said how his father was always upset with him regarding his life choices. He'd choose a sport, then change it, choose an instrument, change it. This made his father frustrated upon him and sent him away to study a course of his choice, and not Alex's choice. What Alex feared was that he did not want to change or replace me with anyone else, and his fear was reflected in his eyes. His deep thought was shown in his words. That same day, we promised not to leave each other too. Thinking about all those, the room just turned dark as my sleep broke. It was 6 in the evening. Nothing seemed to be working in my life, and that's when I looked at the family picture hanging on the wall and it struck me. Something had to be done. So, the phone was picked up and a decision was made. The decision to call Alex. He picked up the call, and without a wasting of anybody's time, I asked him if he was ready to meet me. He agreed. Finally, at around 9, I reached a cafe, and there inside he sat with one leg over the other, crossed, reading a book as if all the fault was mine alone. I went inside and sat in front of him with my heartbeat rising, and it just did not decide to slow. Something in me told me to get up and just run, but that did not happen. We both looked at each other for a few seconds, although none of our gaze had the same love that we showed years back, but this time filled with genuine hatred for one another. Before my mouth could speak anything, Alex started off by asking for an apology and that he was ready to file a lawsuit. Not sure why, but his behavior filled with pure hatred for me enraged me and hurt me. The moment he stopped talking, he had to listen to me that he was the one at fault and he should have never cheated on me. Alex was just not ready to listen to anything, and he really calmly told me to come to court with whatever I had to say. Unable to withstand the pressure anymore, I clenched my fist and asked what would make him withdraw his plan of filing this said lawsuit. The smirk he gave will never be forgotten, and then he told me what he needed. He wanted me to record a video where everything that happened was part of my plan, and the video must also have an apology from my side. Alex would keep the video with him and only use it for his defense and nothing more. He warned, if I said anything about it outside the lawsuit, it was inevitable. Having no other choice, I agreed, and he took me to his car. We recorded the video, and then we both parted ways. It was the worst day in my life, with my head bursting from all the regrets that I had ever from dating him. Update number 3. Final update posted by OP. As of writing this, a month had passed and my parents were still angry with me. My parents had stopped calling me once they made an offer for me to move back with them. Apparently, my dad thought that their companion would really help me, but that was not the case. Taking things into his hand, he knocked at the door one morning and there was right in front of me, crossing cities in his car to take me away. He wanted me to resign from my job and all the consequences were to borne by them. Not a hint of thought about my health or emotions. Without even informing me, he sent a copy of my CV, which he found lying around in my drawer back at home. He sent it to different companies and even got me 2 interviews. Mom, too, was ready to have me back. All they wanted me was to just be safe and happy with them. Finally, I asked Dad if he was sure that would make me happy, to which he had no real answer. But his eyes turned teary and that hurt me. After my breakup, my parents were my support and they helped me heal. But his tears froze me right there and something in me asked if my mind was really healed. If it had, then Dad would not be standing crying, would he? I hugged him and made him sit down and understand what happened and how I had apologized to Alex for whatever mistake was done. Father fell from the sky knowing what Alex's demand was, and that's when he got angry with me. But his happiness that his daughter had apologized overtook it, and that's right when I convinced that nothing ever sort of that would repeat by me. Dad video called Mom, and our little family had their reunion right there. Dad let Mom know what had happened after the marriage incident and what Alex had made me do. Mom was disgusted by his attitude, but she was more concerned with my mistake and was happy too that my apology was taken and absolutely no lawsuit was filed. Right from the childhood, whenever anything good happened to me, but appreciation from teachers, getting awards, getting good grades, my parents had always been there for me. Returning home and seeing Mom cheered me and Dad just took me up to his arms. It was the best feeling since I was a child. So, looking at them, Mom and Dad too taught me what a happy relationship was. How one had to be patient with another, help the other when they fall and enjoy together rather than alone. Dad went away in the evening and the house was back to a single, just me sitting near the window watching the road where he drove by. A promise was made from within then. And well, for whatever may come into my life, I'd never let my parents down and never ever rush to get a hold of anyone. rather take my time and be happy first, than find somebody else to ever be happier with. But there were still emotions of satisfaction that could not be expressed anymore outside. The satisfaction that Alex was exposed in front of everyone, as lots of people watched him cheat on me right there on that big screen. And he indeed got his punishment. So we basically know how the story plays out. OP asks for forgiveness so she's not being sued with a lawsuit. Her parents forgive her too, and everything seems well, but I do have to ask you guys this. The comments section was going wild, saying how OP was just being so petty this entire time, and you should never ruin somebody else's wedding just to get your own type of revenge, and those people whose wedding it was had nothing to do with the situation at all. So I ask you guys this question. Do you think OP was just being ridiculous, full of pettiness, or do you think OP deserves to have a little taste of, well, revenge? Drop your comments down below. Let's add it down there, have a conversation as well. Guys, if you're new to the channel, my name's Mr. Reddito. I animate, narrate stories every single day. Stop on by, see what story we're doing for the day. Guys, have a fantastic one, and I'll catch you tomorrow. I'll see ya.